Okay, we're live. It's Old Man G again, um, with some breaking news. Now we normally don't cover PSG related stuff on our Manchester United football channel, but I thought this was some significant news to at least to discuss, just because of the potential ramifications that it will have on the transfer window, the transfer market, and potentially Manchester United as well. So the reports coming out from this a French journalist resource called L'Equipe, and most people know L'Equipe. It's basically a French magazine which obviously cover French-related football, etc. If you don't know, links in the description. If you check, it is in French, so if you don't speak French, Google Translate it. But it's been covered by a lot of English sources now, um, and basically, it's saying that PSG are ready to let Neymar go this summer. That's PSG are ready to let Neymar go this summer. Um, it goes into the general sort of it's a difficult time. 27-year-old has been injury prone, etc., delusionment, and what have you. And it appears that the higher ups at PSG have gotten a bit tired and have no problem potentially uploading, at least as the rumours anyway, of unloading Neymar this summer. Now, why am I discussing this now? What does this have to do with Manchester United? Well, I think it has everything to do with Manchester United in the sense that just like when PSG bought Neymar from Barcelona for £200 million a few years back, and how that massively affected the transfer market by, in my opinion, overinflating the prices of many players and causing players that were once £50 million, not even that, £20 million for their price to go up to 10, 20, 30, multiple times more than they're actually worth. It really had a hyperinflated effect on the player prices, and I just think that um, depending on what deal gets done, I mean, the rumors are that the suggestion obviously that he'll go back to Barcelona. He must have been in Spain, etc. Fair enough. But there's also the possibility Real Madrid obviously might be snooping around, etc. And that obviously poses a thing because, as we discussed in the last video regarding Paul Pogba transfers, um, it's certainly it'd be certainly unreasonable for Real Madrid to pursue, because they've not been shy of saying that they wanted to get a Neymar in the past, and can't see Real Madrid pursuing Neymar, for example, and spending the amount of money that will be required to get Neymar, and then also get Paul Pogba as well. Um, so that's something that could also affect Manchester United. Now, I don't think Manchester United for Neymar. I don't think there's any way that Neymar would come to Manchester United, or in fact England. To be honest, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if a Man City would be up for bidding for him. I'm not sure. Maybe, but I just don't see how he would fit. Also, his temperament is a bit injury prone, so definitely not Liverpool. I would have thought. So he definitely looked like he'd be probably going back to Spain if he was to leave um, PSG this summer. But I just think that it's gonna have like, if obviously any transfer transition around Neymar, it's gonna have a huge implication on the transfer market, and with and not just specifically tied towards Neymar, but just players that need to be sold, players that need to be got. You know, if Real Madrid or Barcelona, for example, are wanting to bid for Neymar, then they're going to have to offload players. Who they're going to offload those players to? Is there a possibility that Manchester United could be in for some of those players? For example, we know of players like Rafael Varane, for example, um, who um, who I'm personally a fan of, and especially because we need a sort of defender. Um, Obviously, the Real Madrid, for example, wanting to offload more players like Toni Kroos, maybe even Luka Modric. Barcelona likewise. Obviously, they want to offload Coutinho. I can't see how Barcelona could go and re-sign Neymar without offering to offload Coutinho. So these are the things. Obviously, we'll see how things progress in this transfer window. Um, but I just think that this is it's obviously just breaking. But I think this is a major bit of news because of the implications that such a transfer can have on the current transfer market. I'm hoping that doesn't affect Manchester United in a negative way, um, but given the players that we could potentially be linked with, given the dealings that we may have, whether we're going to have dealings with Real Madrid and Barcelona, I don't know. But certainly, if this Pogba situation, as I discussed in my previous video, um, if Pogba is wanting to go to Real Madrid, he's obviously made his opinions clear that he wants to leave Manchester United. And if that is to go to Real Madrid, because he has expressed desire to go to Real Madrid, then I can't see him going to Real Madrid if Real Madrid decide that they will want to turn their efforts and financial efforts towards getting Neymar, for example. Then that leaves a situation where we have Pogba, who doesn't necessarily want to stay at Manchester United. Okay, maybe Juventus might interesting, but I don't know whether Juventus would be prepared to pay the amount that we'd be asking from for Pogba, which I imagine would be no less than £100 million. About them themselves offloading players, and again, then that comes into fact of, okay, so if that's the case, then is there going to be exchange with some? There could be players going towards Juve. So there are many permutations. Like, so I normally wouldn't cover this type of thing on this Manchester United channel, but I just feel like the transfer of any big player, especially someone like Neymar, it just has huge implications on the transfer market. And maybe this goes beyond Manchester United as well. I'm sure it does. But just like it did the last time he went, where like his transfer literally made football players just ridiculously expensive, and I think has caused this problem, this sort of how can we say, what you basically have, or what at least I'm seeing anyway, certainly as a fan looking inside, is that you have the gaps between the big teams and small teams are closing, in the sense that more small teams have money, and therefore they can afford to not let their best quality players go without charging a large amounts of money. Now, from a business point of view, if you're a big club, you need to feel like you're going to get a lot out of those players, amongst other things, to justify spending that amount of money. And so what you have is, if they go ahead and do that and spend tons of money, what you have as a situation is, how do you then offload a player that you spent a lot of money on, that's on a lot of wages? How do you then offload that player onto another club who's going to take them? The answer is that they won't, and so now you have a player who's maybe not happy at a particular club, it's on ridiculous wages, need to move on. You can't then bring in new players to revamp or enhance your squad, because you've got too many players on high wages at your club. And I think this is what's happening at Real Madrid, it's what's happening at United, it's what's happening at Arsenal, to name a few other clubs, where you have players that need to be moved on, but they're on really big wages, and you can't move them on because basically you can't recuperate or make anything on reselling them, and that's a challenge, and that means actually getting new players in becomes more problematic. So this is the kind of the era of the transfer window that we're in. It's a very different era than it was even 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. And any big summer move, will have implications. I hope that they're in United's favour and that we can really benefit from them. But watch your space, fingers crossed. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy transfer window. Crazy transfer window, maybe for Barcelona, Madrid. The Madrid are signing players. We, on the other hand, I'm not sure. I really, really, really hope that United step up the game here, and push on to sign good quality players that can strengthen the squad as we begin our season. Because Daniel James, as much as I liked seeing him basically make a mockery of Kyle Walker against Manchester City when they played in the cup competition, we need considerably more than Daniel James if we're going to even compete for top four, let alone like push on and close the gap on Manchester City and Liverpool, because we finished, I think it must have been at least 30 plus points behind City and Liverpool last season. That is just not acceptable at all. We need to fight back. We need to back Ollie with good transfer funds, with good signings, so that we can be prepared for the upcoming season. So thanks for listening, everybody. Like I said, just a brief so just because it's breaking news about the name on the impact that it might have on Manchester United. Please like, share and subscribe, and I will see you guys in a bit. Old Man G out.